friends. Welcome to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. The title of this episode is Achieving Wellness and Balance in a Fast-Paced Society. And I am so excited. Today we have Natalie Mullin, a certified wellness educator, speaker, and coach focused on helping teachers and solopreneurs achieve wellness and balance. So Natalie Mullin, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Can you give the audience a little bit about your background and kind of how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Christina. I'm so excited to be on the show today. And I am so passionate about wellness. I'm passionate about women's wellness, and it comes from a place of trauma, to be honest. I was going through life. I was really busy. I had my own business. I had my side hustle, and I was doing all the things that I feel like you should do in life. So I was giving myself a pat on the back. I felt productive. And I didn't realize that things were starting to slip because when things are going, you're not really paying attention. You're not slowing down to realize what is starting to give. And I didn't realize that my husband and I were growing distant until all of a sudden one day he just asked for a divorce. And I was like, sorry, where did you say just now? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
And then I thought like, okay, maybe it's a joke, or sometimes people just say things in the
Mm-hmm.
moment. But like, no, he was serious. And I was like, okay. And long story short, we ended up getting separated. And that was extremely traumatic for me because all I had wanted in life was to be married. This is my family. This is my
Yeah.
future. And everything just kind of came crashing down. And then I was just sitting there and I was like, well, what was this all worth? Like, what was it all for, me having this business and me pursuing all these ambitions, if it means I'm not even going to have the relationship that matters most to me?
Mm-hmm.
So from that point, I had to start my own wellness journey because I entered a huge depression. I was just totally broken. I had no clue how to move on in life. Like my whole identity was connected to being married, right? Being this wife. And I had actually lost sight of who I was as a person. I had completely forgotten about my own goals and ambitions and everything. So when everything kind of crumbled, in order to get out of that, because you eventually have to get out, you can't stay in such a low space. And I was like, okay, I have to start my own wellness journey. And I went to therapy and I had different people helping me. And I really had to find a way to pull myself out of it. And then it starts with asking you, like, what do I want for life? Right. And so I had to ask myself, what do I actually want out of life? How do I want things to be different? What am I going to create? And so by me going through my own wellness journey, I created a formula that I now refer to as the wellness system, the wellness reset system. By following those steps, I was able to get out of my mess, out of my depression, and kind of start life over. And so now I'm just super passionate about talking to other women who might feel disconnected from themselves, from their families, because they're either working so hard in their job or in their own business, or maybe they have two things going on. Because I want them to know that ambition is great, but like if you sacrifice your own wellness, it is going to be the people around you that you're going to lose. And you don't always get the opportunity to get them back. Thankfully, in my situation, there was a plot twist and my marriage was restored, but that was not expected. And that doesn't happen for everybody. So I don't want people to get to that, moment when your husband walks in and says, I want a divorce. And now you're like, okay, I'm going to change things. I'm going to balance. And then it's too late. So that's where I come from.
Yeah, no. In not only do you lose the people around you when you don't have like wellness within yourself, you lose yourself in the process as well. And it's kind of like just a reflection of kind of like what you're feeling like you deserve at that moment because like you're not taking care of yourself as well. And
Exactly.
I totally relate to you. I'm currently like just going through a divorce myself, and I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in December. And, it's a very emotional like disease, like in your gut is like your second brain. And it's like you keep thinking like things will show up in different ways. Like I just kind of kept suppressing things like, okay, everything's fine. Like it's okay. I can live like this, et cetera, et cetera. But then like something showed up in me, physically because I was just trying to suppress my brain. So it's like really important to have like a strong mindset, a strong wellness routine for yourself. And we learn those through huge disruptive things that happen in our life, with you with your divorce, me with like my divorce too. I don't know if we're going to come back together like you, which is a very beautiful story, but I kind of want to dive into this topic a little bit more. And so can you explain to us what is disruptive wellness?
Yeah, and I totally feel for you in the place that you're in. I just want you to know that because I know what it's like, and it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster of emotions,
Yeah.
and nobody understands what you're going through in your bedroom with the door closed. So I
Yeah.
get it, and I see
Mhm.
you. And just sending light your way. But yeah, when we think about disruptive wellness, we're thinking about how do we push back on society's narratives of what wellness should look like, of how we should practice wellness, right?
Mhm.
You might look on social media, maybe you hear people say, oh, self-care is about getting your nails and massages done, or wellness is about eating organic and gluten-free and working out 5 days a week. And all of that can be a part of your wellness journey and your wellness experience. But if it doesn't bring you joy, if it's not in alignment with the way that you want to live your life, then what's the point? You're just adhering to somebody else's idea and version of what wellness should be.
Mhm.
So, disruptive wellness is really about focusing on what your needs are and saying, like, this is what I need right now. This is
Mhm.
where I am right now. This is where I want to get to, because everybody has different versions of what is good for them, right? Like you have
Mhm.
some people who are very comfortable living life certain ways, and who are we to judge at the end of the day? Like I just feel like, okay, you know what, everybody's got to go on their own journey, and everybody wants different things. I don't want to eat only organic, gluten-free, keto, whatever meals. Like I like fast food sometimes, and that's okay for me,
Yeah.
right? And maybe for you it's not okay. So it's
Mhm.
like let everybody do what works for them and is going to bring them fulfillment and meaning in life, that they can access their purpose, their joy, their creativity. Like these are the kinds of things that we want to experience. We want the actions that we're doing to be sustainable, and we want to truly feel good doing them.
Yeah. Exactly. And speaking of that, like, especially like with moms and setting boundaries and, why is that important and feeling okay with setting those boundaries, having to do with like feeling okay with doing that. Cause I know for me, I'm still learning how to set my boundaries and I didn't have boundaries, and, you learn that through, hardships of not setting boundaries. And why is it important that we do that and work through it, for our wellness?
I think as moms, we care so much about our children. Obviously, that's why we're here, and that's one of our biggest responsibilities, right? Is we get to nurture these children, we get to raise them. And so first thinking about, well, I'm going to be a role model for my child or children. What do I want them to see? Because what they see mom do is what they replicate later on. I'm
Mhm.
sure if you think of
Mhm.
your own childhood growing up, whoever raised you, you just end up copying a lot of the same things, whether for good or for bad, is just how it goes. So boundaries is important, first of all, just to set an example for the children that you're caring for and that you have in, right? Because you want to show them it is okay to prioritize your own well-being. And setting boundaries is not about controlling other people. I think a lot of times people don't set boundaries, especially women, because they don't want to control somebody else. They don't want to tell somebody else what to do. That's a misunderstanding of what boundaries about. Boundaries is saying, what do you accept? What
Mhm.
is the standard you have for yourself? What are the desires you have? How should you be treated? How should you be spoken to? How should your finances be managed? All of these things. You are taking care of yourself. You are protecting yourself because you recognize your own self-worth. And
Mhm.
so if you recognize your own self-worth, boundaries is about setting up specific ways in which people can access you and how they can access you, because people treat you the way you allow yourself to be treated,
Mhm.
right? And so a lot of times people are in difficult situations and people aren't treating them well, and it's really unfortunate, but a part of that is because they allowed that person to treat them and like that way. And a lot of times even boundaries, sometimes you have to walk away from a situation, and that's not easy to do.
Mhm.
But again, it comes down to, how do you value yourself and what do you think you're worth? What do you think you deserve?
Mental health is like so important. It's what's going to get you through the day. It's what's going to help you achieve your goals. It's going to help you attract the things that you want. I mean, life's a chess game and you have to have a strong mental well-being in order to like
Yeah.
navigate through it emotionally well. So, how does someone know that their wellness is out of balance?
Yeah, so this is a really good question and I love answering it because the first thing you have to do, you have to take an audit. You have to assess your wellness. On
Mm-hmm.
my Instagram, which is Natalie Mullin, there is a free link in the bio. It's like a download free wellness assessment. And it goes through 12 different elements of wellness. So internally, we're looking at body, air, food, sun, water, and rest. And then externally, we're looking at finances, career, spirituality, purpose, mindset, and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And when people think of wellness, they don't necessarily break it down into all those 12 categories. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a really good place to start because it helps you be more specific. When you have specificity, then you can identify where are the areas that I'm low in. And so that worksheet, all it does is it lists those 12 elements. It asks you a couple questions just as prompts. And then you rate yourself from 1 to 10. Where are you at right now?
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to do a check-in. You need to see where am I at with my food right now? Where am I at in the relationships around me? Where are my finances at? Am I happy with these numbers? And then the next thing you need to do once you've figured out this is where I'm at, and there will always be some that are lower and some that are higher.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, not always. Some people have just low all across the board, and some people have high all across the board.
Yeah.
It's going to be different for each person. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It's your journey, right? So don't judge yourself. It is what it is. I think it's really important to practice self-compassion and just be like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And if it's a 1, that's what it is. It's just information. It's just data. And then from there, you ask yourself, where do you want to get to? Because
Mhm.
not everybody wants to get to a 10, whatever a 10 looks like. Some people are perfectly fine to say, I just want to move from a 1 to a 2 because that means I at least am hanging on still. I made a little bit of progress.
Mhm.
Other people want to go from a 2 to an 8, right? So like see where you're at right now, see where you want to get to, and then create a roadmap. And that's what I do with women all the time. My clients, I create a roadmap with them. How do we move you from 2 to 8? And it's not going to be 2 to 8, just a jump. It's 2 to 3, three to
Yeah.
four, four
Mhm.
to
You got to
five.
give
It's
yourself
step
like
by step.
measurable, you know,
Yeah. Like you
outcomes so
can't.
you can feel proud of yourself and see the progress.
Exactly. I think, especially as women, I think a lot of us are hard on ourselves and we either want to be perfect and be exactly what we envision for ourselves, or we're just not happy. And it's like, no, we've got to be happy with the progress. It's a journey. That's why it's called a wellness journey. And we've got to just become more confident in the fact that we're growing. And
Mhm.
then we can look back and say, hey, well, last month I was really this, and now I'm a little bit more this. And then you give yourself a pat on the back. You're like, good job for me. Like, and we need to celebrate ourselves more. Like as women, like I don't think we big up ourselves enough and cheer ourselves on, right? Like we recognize it in other people. We're happy to praise our children. We're happy to praise other people around us. Sometimes, especially for women, sometimes women are praising people who don't even deserve the praise, especially in relationships. Sometimes they're praising their partner. Their partner doesn't even deserve the praise. But I think women just like to give that, but they don't do it for themselves.
Yeah.
When it comes to themselves, they're like they are humble and they feel like they're bragging if they're to celebrate their accomplishments. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, like let me celebrate myself because I do a lot, right? And a lot doesn't have to be you have some big business and you're making 6 or 7 figures. A lot could be I am raising my child. And let me tell you, that is a lot.
Yeah. So, what is wellness coaching, mindset wellness coaching for people who are unfamiliar and who can benefit from it?
Yeah. So mindset coaching is something where you're really starting with your thoughts because a lot of times we think that our actions are what's controlling our life. Like, oh, I went to work and I did this, and this is why I have the life I have. But it actually goes deeper than that. The way we think about our life, the way we think about our surroundings, our situation is actually how our life plays out. Actions follow the thought.
Mhm.
So when we're thinking about our mindset, it's like, how can we focus on our thoughts? How can we become more positive? Because we all have like an inner critic inside our mind. That I call it like the little devil. It's just like telling you negative
Yeah.
things. And it's like, oh, look at that. Look at that. You're not good for this. You're not good. Like we all have it. It doesn't matter how positive you are. But it matters how much you let that voice control your thoughts. Like, do you say to yourself, shh, go away, and like you hit it? Or do you let it like foster and be like, oh my God, they're right. Like, I can't do this. Shoot, look at that pimple. Who am I to do this? I'm not qualified. Right. Like, so who do you give the mic to? And so if you give your mic to that little devil, guess what? That little devil's really loud. Okay.
They're
And
very
will run
loud.
the show And the show is not actually what you want. So you got to take back that mic. That's mindset coaching is all about taking back that mic and creating thoughts that are going to be positive to get you to where you want to get to. Because everybody can get there, but you have to believe it for yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is the identity you have for yourself? And you might not be the person you want to be right now, and that's okay. You still have to have like a vision for who do you want to be, who's the person you want to transform and become. And then once you have that belief and this new identity, you have to assume this identity and be like, okay, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be like this person now. But the only way to become like that person is you have to change your thoughts. And you have to start
Exactly.
to think like, how does that person think? And I don't mean to become like a carbon copy of them because you need to be yourself. Like we all are unique individuals. But I think we can all grow. Like I believe that all of us can grow. I'm really big on personal development, growth mindset, self-help. So I think we can always become better versions of ourselves. I think
Mm-hmm.
life is evolutionary, you know? So like for us, it's like we should be coming better next year, the
Yeah,
year
we're
after
always
than who
changing. Yeah, always evolving, always
exactly.
changing. Like what we wanted 10 years ago isn't like what we want, 10 years
Yeah.
from now or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what it's all about. And honestly, everybody can benefit from mindset coaching. But in particular, I know for me, I work with a lot of women who might be facing imposter syndrome. And I do this with quote unquote because it's not even a real thing, but people feel it.
Yeah.
Or it could be lack of confidence. It might be trying to find self-care and balance or
Yeah.
working on self-worth. Like I so much comes back
Mhm.
down to like those kinds of things. And I really like helping transform that mindset because when you have that foundation, then the sky's the limit once you sorted that out.
And honestly, I think it's good for people like that are trying to heal themselves. Like, that's why I kind of mentioned the Crohn's disease because it's like all about the wellness in your brain. It's like don't be stressed. Like, if your thoughts starting to run wild, like it's gonna affect like, like your tummy may hurt more and stuff. So it's like, or if you're battling cancer, I know I've spoken to many people and how they've gotten through that and gotten into remission is through their mindset. Okay, so I have four questions I ask all my guests, and I can't wait to know what your answers are. So, my first one
Okay.
is who and what inspires you?
Okay. So this is going to sound a little bit weird, but the thing that inspires me the most is the grave. And I know that sounds weird. You're like, wait, what? And the reason why is I heard this quote once that said like the grave is the richest place because people die with all this potential within them. And when I heard that quote, I
Mhm.
was like, that can't be me. Like I can't think of anything sadder than like me being in a grave and like I had all these ideas in my head that I didn't get out.
I know, right? Oh my God, like coulda, woulda, shoulda. Like, there's so many people that have like this untapped potential inside of them and they never achieve it, like what their like destiny is, or, why they really came here on earth and stuff like that. Some people never get to it because of the roadblocks of like, let's say, like drug addiction or the gremlin or like just whatever, like,
Hmm.
and it's crazy. Yeah. And that's how I think too. It's like, God, I have all these dreams and goals. Like, I need to do it. If I don't do it, I just would look back like I should have done that?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that
So
was a
me,
deep
I
one.
can't live in that. I
Yeah, that
can't
was a
do it.
deep
I
one,
just
the grave.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you get it. So
Yeah, yeah, I know. My tombstone is going to say a lot. Oh my God. Okay. So, what is something you wished you knew when you were younger?
okay, for me, it's that life is not linear. Because I think when you're a kid, you're like, okay, you're in school, you go from grade one to grade two, you go from grade nine to grade 10, like, then you go to university or college. And like, you just think life is always going to go on this certain straight line trajectory. And it's only as an adult that I realize, oh my gosh, this line can zigzag and curve and spiral and just become dotted, fall, disappear. And like you really get thrown off. And I think if I had had a better understanding when I was younger that like life can really go left,
Hmm.
I think I would have been better prepared to handle some of the difficult situations I went through in life. But I really thought that like life was just kind of goes like I thought that if you plan out your life, life kind of sticks to that linear path. And yeah, there might be hiccups, but I thought you're always moving in a forward direction. I
Yeah.
did not realize like no, life can send you all the way
Yeah.
back. or a completely different direction that you do not want to be going. And you kind of have to adapt to that. So yeah, that's what I definitely wish I knew when I was younger. And I try to tell younger people, like, listen, like life can go all over the place, because if you know ahead of time, you can develop more resilience. And I think you can react or respond quicker to when life just throws you
Yeah.
lemons.
They say like tell God your plans and he'll laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a big chuckle for me. Don't worry, like
Yeah.
big,
He's like,
big chuckle
oh,
for me.
okay, yeah, we'll let you think you're going there, but I got a different plan for you. Um,
Exactly.
okay, so what's the essential part of your daily routine?
Okay, so the essential part of my daily routine is finding time for myself, because
Mm,
I just cannot function. As I told you, I have to still be able to do my dreams and like my goals, like the things I want to do in life, I just have to be able to do. And so I need time like to do that.
mhm.
So I'm not a morning person, but now that I have my son, I'm like, oh, you take up a lot of my time. So it's hard. I don't have as much free time anymore. So I make that time in the morning before he gets up, because when he gets up, he like, life changes and
All
I
hands
can't
on
guarantee
deck.
all hands on deck. So I'm like, I'm waking up early to have this undisturbed time that I can work on things that are meaningful to me, whether it's my own podcast or just like researching and learning. I like to learn new things, or just enjoying time. And then when he goes to bed, I also get back some of that time as well. But like I needed more of it. So so I start off my morning, and then my mornings I'm able to do my workout. And that like was really important to me, because in the nighttime I don't have the energy to work
Yeah, I
out.
like to get it done in the morning, like working
Yeah,
out, because then you don't have to worry about it. You start your day off
exactly.
right, you're feeling good because you like felt it. I feel like if it's in the afternoon, it's like it's still this thing like I have to do. It's just like I
Exactly.
gotta work out, I gotta work out. Oh my God, when am I gonna work out? I gotta work out. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah. And then sometimes it doesn't happen and you're like, "Oh my God, I didn't work out." So if I just do it first thing in the
exactly.
morning, then I'm like, "Oh, it's done." And then I feel
Yay.
fantastic. Like I'm so happy. Like I'm not happy when I'm working out, but as soon as it's done, I'm like so proud of myself.
Yeah.
And it just sets the tone for my day. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, like go ahead now." Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And then my last question is the best advice you've ever received.
Okay, so the best advice I ever received was that I just have to be authentic and be the person I am, and not everyone's gonna like me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think for a long time, like I have a very specific kind of personality, and I'm a little bit loud and I'm a little bit over energetic, and not everybody likes that. And sometimes people will try to like control you, or they'll make you feel bad about like your own natural personality. So I'm like trying to hold back and become this different person. But then I'm like not actually happy with myself. I feel like I can't be free, and I really want to be free. So I'll never forget when my mentor told me that, and I accepted, okay, Natalie, it's okay. You're not for everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah. And then like who are you? You know what I mean? Like you lose who you are.
Yep.
Like then it's like, well, what do I actually like? Because I'm liking what other people like and thinking what they think. Like, what is it? And then you're on that whole journey of like discovery.
Yeah. And you just go down a rabbit hole, and then you realize like, oh, I don't know who I am at all.
Yeah.
And like that's like not a fun place to be in.
Yeah.
It's
So I
it's
don't mean to
not.
laugh, but it's like, I mean, I've been there like tons of times, like,
No, I've been there
you're
too.
like, who
That's what I
am
can
I?
tell
Like,
you.
especially like after a kid or something, like life event, like,
Listen, I've been through it multiple times, and you have to, and if you're at that place, it's okay. Like if a listener is at that place, it's okay. You just have to do some work
yeah.
to find yourself again,
Yeah.
and to restore that relationship with your own
Yeah.
self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening, I am going through that right now. So you are not alone. I'm literally always trying
And
to.
I've been through it more
Yeah.
than once.
So
So
yeah. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It was such a fruitful conversation. All of her links are down below in the show notes. Don't be shy. Go say hi. And thank you for everyone who listened to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks, guys.
thank you.